day walk on water. Mary, did you know that your baby boy will save our sons and daughters? Get the chord chart and become a patron. You get access to all the chord charts for all my tutorials on YouTube. This was a patron request by Anne. She's waited patiently for a year for this, so thank you, Anne, and thanks to all my patrons. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and thanks to all of you that already have. Let's dive in. This song needs an A minor. Add a finger to it and you've got an F, also needed. There's a G, and there are more ways to finger a G than I'm going to show you here, and I'll put a video link up here in the cards and down below. I do the bunny foo-foo, and my ring finger goes on the E string like this. There are some more advanced chords. There's an E7, index finger, middle finger, ring finger. There's also a D minor, index finger reaching across to the G string, tucking in the ring finger on the C string. There is also an E minor in this. Think of it as a ladder. Now we have to go from a G to E minor, and that's a little tricky, so let's talk about that. G to E minor is a tricky transition. I will show you 3 ways to do it. I do it the traditional way where I'm fingering my G, and notice how my hand is up towards the headstock, and then I have to play an E minor like this, and the whole hand shifts. I've just done it enough times that this works for me. However, you can finger that G and reach across to the C string with your pinky. Let's see if hey, I kind of made it. I'm not very good at this, but this gives you an option to use that pinky. Another option is to bar these 3 strings for the G and then put this finger here, and then reaching over with the stronger ring finger to add this to do an E minor. You just keep this G fingered and then add a finger to make it E minor. Play around with it, find what works for you. 2 strumming options for this song, and I use them both. The strum that I like to start out with is a slow strum. I'll discuss that. When we get to the bridge, I like to do an island strum because the bridge, it's brand new material, so why not throw out a brand new strum? So an island strum is down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So I use them both, but you know what? You can do this whole song with the island strum and it works just as well, or the strum that I'm going to teach you next, you can do the whole song that way too. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. The count is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you see any dog hair, just please ignore it. And I'm going to hum along the melody while we play it together. Just the chords. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Da 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 da, da 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 da, da da in D7, and da minor, and G da da, F and D7, and F and G, and E minor and A minor, T minor. Takes us through the verses. Well, let's take a look at the bridge. This is the bridge. 1, 2, ready, begin. Ba da da G D F and then A minor, F and G, A minor and E7. I'm passionate about finger picking. I think it's so beautiful. So I'll show you that option as well. Let me show you the pattern and then we'll talk through it. Just a few tips. You're using the thumb and 3 fingers. The thumb goes downward. Your index finger, middle finger, and ring finger all pull up on the strings. You're going to go down from G all the way down to A. And they are all even. 1 and 2 and. Beat 3 is silent, and I'll do a rhythm exercise after this. And then it's like the end of an island strum. And 4 and, or think up, down, up. So with the count, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In these places on the chord chart, I truncate, shorten up that strumming pattern. It's on an E7 and I just go down. And there's rest in there so you can get your voice together for the next phrase. Let's just practice this without any of those pesky lyrics. 1, 2, 3. Ba da 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 da, da 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 da, and F and E7, ba da 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 da, and G and F, and your short 1 and G, E minor. As promised, I have 2 singing tips for you. One is just structure, and this has a Mary Did You Know? And you have all this singing happening before you get to a down strum on your ukulele. So that's called a pickup, and no, it's not that kind of pickup. So you have to be preparing in advance, and sometimes you're seeing the end of a line like this, and then you've got to be thinking ahead to the next line because your singing's got to get there before your strumming does. Do you hear things in your head? Well, good, because that's a good thing as a musician. It's called audiation, and I have to use audiation in order to sing this song properly. You have an E7, and in that E7, your starting pitch is not in that E7 to get into the Mary Did You Know? So when I hit that F, I'm going to be listening to that A on my A string. It's also here on the G string. Mary, Mary, did you know? So as we're playing along, you're going A minor, G, F, and I'm hearing that A7. Mary, did you know? So I'm holding on to that A, thinking it in my head so that I can Mary, did you know? Or it's actually this low G. Mary, did you know? So that's another singing tip. I hope that helps you. I've been teaching an art appreciation class for over 2 decades, so I really love the visual arts, and I really love studying the history behind it, and I see Renaissance humanism related to this song. Think of the Middle Ages, medieval times. Life was very regimented societally. You were born a serf, you died a serf. If you're royalty, you were born royalty and probably died early because you were royalty too. But anyway, things stayed pretty locked in place. Think, in a box, and you color in the lines. Well, 3 things happened leading up to the 1400s that helped expand society and made a confluence of cultures. Oh, I'm talking like a college professor now too. Anyway, the Silk Road opened up trade with China and the Middle East,
And then there was the Crusades, and that also brought in all sorts of influences from the Middle East as well. Additionally, some ancient texts had been found, and also some ancient art had been recovered. I mean, literally the Vatican was mining the river for sculptures from ancient Greek and Roman times. So they were seeing all sorts of things and reading all sorts of things that they had just never heard before. And particularly in the city-state of Florence during this time, there was a family, the Medici family. You probably heard of them. They were sheep herders and wool makers that turned into bankers and were kind of the de facto rulers of the city of Florence. And many of the important popes came from the Medici family. Well, anyway, these texts and the ideas of the Medici family kind of coalesced together to bring about what's called Renaissance humanism. And it really did make things more human. So let's get to the art. Think of medieval times where things were kind of flat in their depictions. They were more iconic, like icons. Well, not as bad as these, but you get it. They're just to represent something. They're not to truly flesh it out and make it flesh and blood. But then humanism came along, and the Medici supported artists, and you start seeing portrayals of Mother Mary and baby Jesus, and they look like real people. Like, oh my gosh, you could identify with that. If you've ever had a baby, you could go like, oh yeah, that's a real baby, or at least looks a lot more like a real baby. And this spread through various artists, Da Vinci, Raphael. It even went up north to Van Eyck, and the tragedy in Michelangelo's Piete that is there at St. Peter's Basilica. And in this song, with the lyrics by Mark Lowry, he's really making it a conversation that you're having with a mother. Did you know that your child is destined for greatness? And he's going to be remembered thousands of years from now because of the wonderful things that he did. He is the Son of God, and he's going to change the world. And unfortunately, he is going to die an early death in order to make that happen. So I see these lyrics as being very humanist inspired. I'll put somewhere around here what combination of strumming and finger picking I'm doing. 1, 2, ready, begin.
Mary, did you know that your baby boy will one day walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you new? This child that you delivered will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy will give sight to a blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will calm a storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod? And when you kiss your little angel, you have kissed the face of God. Mary, did you know? Oh, Mary, did you know? Oh, blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again. The lame will leap, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lamb. Mary, did you know did you know? Oh, Mary, did you know? I hope you have a beautiful and joyous time playing this song that I think is steeped in humanism. Thanks for watching to the end, and another one of my Christmas songs should be appearing here, and I have an entire Christmas playlist. I love Christmas music. Thank you so very much. Don't forget to give it the thumbs up, and thank you to all my patrons.